All right. Well, welcome to Coffee Conversations. My name is Jen Lobonc Billhartz, and I've got with me joining today Brian Vaccaro.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi. Good. How about you?
Doing good. Well, welcome.
Good.
I'm glad we finally got around to doing this.
Yes, we had a couple of attempts at it, and now we're here, so that's good.
Yeah, now we're here. Now we're doing it. So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? You are a musician and educator, so.
Right. So I've spent my whole career kind of swinging from vine to vine, teaching different places, doing a lot of college teaching, most recently at Lindenwood University, but also St. Louis Community College. Back in the day, there was Belleville Area College, which is now Southwestern Illinois College.
Okay.
But now I have taken the leap to teach at Grand Center Arts Academy, which is a middle and high school, and I'm there full time. So that is the bulk of my work currently, and I'm still out there doing some performance and some private lessons on the side as well.
Okay, so at Grand Center, you're teaching guitar and music primarily, or what more specifically?
Right. Yeah, I teach a kind of an expansive guitar program, or I run a guitar program, which has beginner, intermediate, and advanced level ensembles, both at the middle school and high school level. And I run the high school jazz band program there.
Oh, nice.
And I had taught music technology, though I think that is shifting over to somebody else because the guitar program is growing.
Oh, awesome.
It's
excellent
good
news.
problem to have. I like teaching that class. Yeah. So I lose one thing that I like doing, but at the expense of a growing program. That's
sure.
I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm.
Good. And then you're adjunct also at Lindenwood?
Not anymore.
No, you're not. No. Okay.
No, I tried that. I tried a semester of doing both GCAA and Lindenwood, and it was just there's not enough of me to go around. So
too much and too far apart. I'm sure the drive was not helpful.
The proximity didn't help. Yeah.
Right. What were you teaching though while you were there?
At Lindenwood, it was guitar. It was private guitar.
Okay.
So I was seeing the music majors that were guitar focused, as well as the non-majors that just wanted guitar for part of their arrangement.
Oh, sure.
But I also taught some of their ensembles. A jazz combo once, a guitar ensemble, something called modern music ensemble, which was like more, modern music, like pop, rock, soul, jazz, hybrid, fusion, that sort of thing. So we had sort of a pilot program going there for a few semesters by the time I left.
Okay,
and I think they're still going. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Could be. All right, awesome. So you've been in the education arena for how long?
In one form or another since 1994.
So 26 years?
Yeah, God.
Was that
you say it like that. I feel super old. Like
I don't take that as you being old. I take it as you being very experienced, which is why I chose you to have these conversations today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a very nice way to frame it. My kids would say I'm just old, but since 1994, that's when I just started teaching private lessons in order to make some money on the side. But then, I sort of fell into it.
Okay.
And it just sort of grew from there.
Awesome. I mean, it's not for everybody, but if you love it and you're good at it, then it's amazing.
Yeah. And it took a lot of different angles, as I was kind of going through my professional life. So for a while there, I was running education programs that were extracurricular, a lot like at schools like yours.
Okay.
So I was running programs very similar to what you offer at Shock City School of Music. So that was on me to kind of make sure I was keeping the private teachers in check and then developing new curriculum and classes and workshops and things for students to get engaged in. So
that's awesome.
That was a chapter of my life, but no longer.
I think it's amazing. I'm sure you've seen this transpire as well. Things were probably much different when you started out 26 years ago versus now. The guitar has kind of morphed into, it's always been, there's classical guitar, and then there's obviously the more contemporary rock and all that type of stuff. But from what I've witnessed, even with lessons and education, it's just completely transformed, almost turned on its head a little bit. So I don't know if you've experienced that even at your school or just with private lessons, as far as the types of music people are wanting to learn, and less emphasis on classical guitar and more just on playing pop music and rock and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So that's what you mean by turned on its head. Less.
It's just taking a more contemporary,
a less traditional approach,
a casual approach. The education behind it, perhaps not so casual, but you know what I mean.
No, I agree with you, and I think that works because why not try to play the music that inspires you to pick up the instrument in the first place?
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Because I kind of always subscribe to that, because there are techniques, there are concepts, there are theory principles that you can learn from whatever you're playing.
Right. So you're still getting that kind of underneath no matter what you're learning, right?
If taught properly,
yes.
Right? So
right.
If it's just rote memorization and it's just like, here's where you play and you put your fingers here and there you got it. You're not teaching any principles with that. No. But if you can kind of sneak that in underneath, the music that the students really crave and are inspired by.
Sure.
Then you're kind of covertly getting all of those foundational concepts that they need.
And it probably works a little bit better because a bored student is impossible to teach. It's really difficult.
Yeah. Right. So why not use a vehicle that inspires them, or that they're at least remotely interested in?
Sure.
At least that's engaging at some level.
Right. So do you kind of take that same approach at the school as well? Or obviously, like with jazz, if you are teaching a jazz ensemble, that's a completely different thing. But in some of the other classes, are you kind of catering to what the students are wanting to play?
To some degree, at a very, very beginning level, some of those things are out of their reach. So
absolutely,
yes. So you have to start with just foundational stuff. There's just no way around some of that. But once they get to sort of an intermediate level, then it becomes like, well, for example, my middle school guitar ensemble, one of the classes, I had them playing a Coldplay song. So it's like, I will give them a choice. I'll give them, 6 or 8 different guitar ensemble arrangements that I've come across. Okay. And then I'll play them the audio and then give them a chance to vote on it. And we ended up playing Yellow by Coldplay,
Oh, nice.
Which, arranged for classical guitar ensemble, which...
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so...
Yeah.
So there's ways around it, I guess. And there's... No, that's awesome. So...
Right.
Yeah. All right, so today was kind of a big announcement day in St. Louis. Well, is it all of Missouri or just St. Louis County and City primarily?
I don't know that there was any formal designation for today. I think somebody just said July 20th, we're announcing what we're going to be doing for the school year. And then everybody else just kind of said, oh, yeah, us too.
Everyone jumped on board, so no one, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any formal structure to it. But
okay. Well, anyway, so there's been a lot of announcements. You found out what your school is going to be doing as far as your teaching goes, and I'm sure you've got thousands of questions with that. And a lot, all of the parents are still, it sounds like a lot of schools are giving 3 options, fully in person, a hybrid, and then completely virtual online.
Yes. Grand Center Arts Academy is not offering the hybrid version. So It's just online or in person.
And so if it's in person, is it 5 days a week, or are they doing a modified schedule?
I did not see anything about a modified schedule. Okay. It was a 4-page email. So it might be tucked in there somewhere. I got to read it again.
Sure.
But I'm still trying to. I got a bunch of questions that I still got to kind of ask the admins about. But I'm trying to wrap my brain around how you teach a class simultaneously 2 different ways.
Right, because you doing? I'm sure you were doing online from March through May, right?
Yes.
So you already kind of got comfortable with that transition, but now it's kind of I mean, there's one of you, so it's not like you can be doing 2 things at once.
Right.
I mean, unless I guess that's what they're expecting the teachers to do, is to record themselves teaching for those at home. I don't know how else you would do it. It seems like a timing nightmare.
Well, I mean, the advantage of online learning is that from both teacher and student perspective, within the bounds of a deadline, you can just kind of do your work whenever you can get to it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So, and with guitar, that's the kind of the way I approach it. It's
okay.
There are some videos that I'll put out there to kind of instruct some supplemental information. Here's the assignment. Here's when it's due. Here's how you can get a hold of me when you need to. And we'll do Zoom sessions to kind of troubleshoot everybody's problems. But trying to shoehorn that into a regular in-person teaching schedule, that's going to be, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how they want us to do that. But
right. I know. I mean, there's so many different perspectives on it right now. And I guess the first thing is, you as a teacher, are you comfortable going back and doing this? So many people have just been still pretty much isolating themselves and taking precautions and things like that. But, obviously you have the safety of your classroom, but it doesn't prevent you from being around other adults and other people. Obviously, if you are in a classroom with, 10 to 20 people, it's just what is.
So the question, am I comfortable with that? I don't know. I don't know. And I won't have an answer to that until I actually have some firsthand experience as to what it looks like, feels like, is like,
sure.
In the building. It might be, I hope they're going to have all of their bases covered, and I would suspect they will, because these are professional people that I work with, and I have faith in them. But at the same time, there are maybe some scenarios that we haven't thought through completely that are going to manifest themselves.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's hard to know.
I mean, anything's possible. That's 5 weeks away. So 5 or 6 weeks away. So anything could, you're right.
Right. So what I had initially heard, and I have a son that goes to Kirkwood schools, still waiting to get their email. And I think I got my Grand Center Arts account.
Tech issues.
Has that ever happened before?
To me?
No. On your podcast, has a guest ever done that before?
I feel like I've had a lot of issues. I've had the light fall on me. I've had the dog throwing up when I was doing with Matt Horman. There's just this really bad sound in the background. I've had the dog come up. I mean, it's just the dog has been a problem. So I'm very happy to be in this controlled environment at the studio where I don't have to worry about the kids and the dogs and all of that. So yeah, these things happen.
I'll try to be a little less handsy with my talking.
You're fine. But no, so same thing. Like my kids are in Clayton, and I've not received the email or the notice as of yet, but I'm thinking it's coming out this afternoon. But there's been all this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I think I just got mine because I'm staff, and it was like staff first.
Oh, sure. And a lot of the other schools made their announcements this morning. So there's been a lot of chatter going around and things like that. So I guess we'll just wait and see.
Right. But what I'm hearing from one of the band teachers over in Kirkwood is that we're expecting there to be much more of a hybrid situation here, where it's going to be like for the high school, for example, freshmen and juniors in the building on these days.
Sure.
Sophomores, seniors these days. Band class is still going to happen, apparently. My
Okay.
son's involved in band.
Oh, good.
And instrument covers, which is a thing that I didn't even know existed for brass instruments. Things like, I'm not talking about mutes, but I'm talking about things that will actually cover the bell of the instrument,
Okay.
are going to be employed along with, they've apparently taped the band room so that students know exactly where to stand
Okay.
or sit so that they're totally isolated from one another.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
good because you would hate to see. Obviously, I feel like the arts are the first to go in a school when there's budget concerns or other concerns. So I'm glad that at least with that particular district, they're implementing some protocols to help make that possible.
yeah, for sure. Again, but who knows if
Who knows?
students start
Yeah,
getting sick,
right.
then it's all going to be shut down again anyway, and then we're back to where we were last spring. So
Yep. So
it's
yeah,
all
we'll
the
see.
great.
It's just overwhelming, right?
Yeah, if you let it be, it can be. So I'm just trying to take it like one little bite-sized morsel at a time. Just
Yeah, that's
to,
kind of all we can do. I think as a whole, people have become a little bit more flexible because we've had no choice as we keep adapting and going through things. And yeah, so it is what it is, and we'll just have to continue to be flexible and modify and do primarily what's best for ourselves and our families.
right.
But it's amazing. You as a teacher probably see this, and maybe not in the particular school that you're in, but kind of in general, sometimes parents just take the school system for granted. And
Yeah.
I'm sure now that, parents are being forced to work from home while educating their children or just basic childcare, it's a whole different perspective for them.
Hmm.
So hopefully more appreciation comes your way as being an educator for all that you guys do, because it's a tremendous job, and
Yeah.
so much goes into
Well,
it.
I will say, last spring, my experience from the parents was that they were all very supportive. You
Good.
know, Everybody that I had contact with were just super nice, super helpful, super supportive,
It's
and
amazing.
really had nice things to say in terms of what they, how grateful they were that we were going the extra mile to make all of that stuff happen.
Right.
So that was my experience.
Well,
That might
good.
not
Yeah.
be
I, I mean,
everybody's
there's a
experience, but
tremendous amount of work that everyone did with that quick transition. So,
yes. Yeah, and it was quick. And performances. I mean, that's the whole other thing. This is a whole other topic we
yeah.
could talk about. What will student performances look like? You know, I did something that I think might turn into like at least the temporary normal last spring
Okay.
in terms of how, I wanted to keep the students engaged. And I think this turned out pretty well, hosting an online like Facebook Live student recital
Okay.
for my guitar program. Guitar and jazz students were eligible to participate in it. And I had a situation where the head of school kind of came to me and said, so this might be the model of like what we have to do in the fall. At that time, I thought that was like crazy talk. Like, oh, this is
Sure.
going to be like over, like we're going to be
Like,
fine.
yeah.
Now I totally believe that like we're going to have to do this. So we put together an online. So it was a lot of work, a different kind of work than organizing a live performance. But if any other teachers out there are listening, I'd be happy to talk to whomever about how I'd put this together
Okay.
and just sort of spitball ideas. But it was students send me videos, and I kind of gave them strict parameters of like, okay, these are the pieces I want you to choose from to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And we can put together ensemble pieces. I did that through an app, similar to like Acapella or something like that,
Okay.
where many students could be participating at the same time. I
Sure.
had like a jazz quartet playing, and they were all recorded remotely. But then, I kind of gave them the guidelines: wear this, have a nice background that you're performing in front of. Here are your recording specs. Here's how this can work. Send me the video. And then I took all of that stuff and did all of the transitions between videos, recorded an intro, recorded an outro,
Okay.
of me just giving, an introduction and, a conclusion, that sort of thing.
Oh, wonderful.
And, the positive of that is that people, relatives, friends, family from across the country could see their students perform rather than just the ones that lived here,
Right. Yeah.
So if there was a silver lining with all of that, is that, Aunt Ethel in Norfolk, Virginia could see, could see one of the students performing, and it was
Right.
kind of,
That is really neat. And the other benefit that's striking me right away is all of the skills that these students are learning as far as recording and technology and things like that.
right.
Which, I mean, we've discovered, even for myself professionally, how valuable that is. And I had to learn a bunch of stuff myself. And, the teenagers always seem to be more advanced at that than us old folks anyways. But it's still, they're learning how to utilize that in more of a true sense versus just Snapchatting their friend. Like, that's a whole different element. But, like,
Right.
to turn it into an actual project, I think that's pretty amazing. So that seems, but you said there's a music technology. Do you say there's a technology class there too for them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I had them
Okay.
as part of this too. So that was kind of cool because they could send me their project, and they spliced together a little video with,
Oh, cool.
their original music that they composed electronically.
Yeah.
And that became sort of part of the video presentation
Oh,
as
nice.
well. So it worked out pretty nicely. So I feel like at least for the fall semester, we're gonna be seeing a lot of sort of virtual presentations of
Sure.
performances.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that you're taking such a positive approach to it, or just at least embracing it, because that's really all we can do. I mean, as
Right,
frustrating as it is, I mean, what more is there?
right.
So,
You have two options. You can do that, or you can just run and hide. I guess
it,
that's
and there's been a lot of people doing that. I've heard, there's been a significant amount of educators wanting to either retire early or just find a new line of work.
yeah.
And we can get into that if you'd like. Why don't we take a quick 2-minute break, and then
Okay.
we'll keep up our wonderful conversation.
They say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so I'd fall all the way to China, a homeless girl living on the streets. Help me, my bottle's getting empty, feeling like I'm losing the game of life. I need some help with my self-regulation. Aberration, it's not working out. Not working out. Not working out. Not working out. Yeah.
Students, parents, and staff, this is Sean Doherty, your superintendent. I'm calling to let you know that the district has sent out an important message about our return to learn plan for the 2020-2021 school year. Please check your email or the district's website for details. Take care and stay well.
Okay.
Oh. And the text came through, all of it. They're really on it. All right, and we're back. All right, welcome back to Coffee Conversations. I'm Jen, and I've got with me today Brian Vaccaro.
Hello again.
All right, so we were just talking about the school thing, and right as that was happening, my phone blew up. I got the call from Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
You got your email from Kirkwood.
Yeah, which I'm anxious
funny.
to dive into.
They probably came at the same, similar time.
Right.
Yeah, so you're just, I'm curious too. Yeah, just so many questions about what's going to happen in the fall.
For
And,
sure.
it's not, yeah, it's just something else. So,
And, I'm sure they'll have to have plans B, C, and D behind whatever they're giving us now, too.
right. I mean, like, what's going to happen if somebody tests positive for COVID? Are they going to shut down the school for 24 to 48 hours or more? People are going to have to get tested. Like, it just seems like that's bound to happen sooner than later.
My understanding is that each district has a threshold, like a number of cases that will shut things down. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
like if there's one or two, then it's just like we're going to tell that person to go away for 2 weeks,
Sure.
not come back. If there's 10 or 12, then that's a different conversation.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know how they arrive at those numbers. It seems kind of arbitrary to me, but
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, because you'd think it'd have to have something to do with your student population.
Right. Yes.
Because some schools are going to have 2,000 students and more staff members versus a smaller private, I don't know, making numbers up. But obviously it'd be different at Grand Center versus, probably a larger public school.
Right. Right. So each one will probably have to have like a threshold number, but how they come to those numbers, I have no idea. Like, what's that based on?
Right. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Interesting times indeed. But I guess, again, like we were just talking about how you've made it possible to continue doing learning online. Like I'm assuming you'll probably see some of that. If not, you'll be incorporating some of those online concepts into the live classroom, though, for performances and things like that and some projects. But like, how do you see this affecting you in the classroom itself and modifying how you're teaching and maybe even the amount of students in your classes? Is that something that, I mean, you've got like, today's July 20th and when's school start?
August 24th. So
it doesn't leave a lot of
about a
time.
month. Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great question. I'm going to be dealing with some spacing of students that's going to be restricting in terms of like how many students I can have in my classroom. The classroom I teach in is relatively small. It's not a big, like we've got orchestra rooms and we've got band rooms. I'm not in one of those. I've got sort of a standard size classroom. So, and then you factor in that all of them have instruments in their hands and that takes up space as well. So
I mean, that makes social distancing a little bit easier because the guitar neck is,
Yeah, it sort of keeps people at a distance inherently, right?
It does. A little bit, but.
Yeah, so, but even so, if it got really crowded in my classroom when there were 22 kids in there, So at that point, I was pretty crowded.
Sure.
So, and those are kids that are probably 2 feet away from one another,
Yeah, and I'm thinking, how is the hallway transition going to happen? Like, you can't. I'm just not seeing it. How, I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately, but even though we're supposed to be 6 feet apart, it's just not happening.
Right.
You might scoot past somebody in the aisle, but the aisles aren't big enough to really allow for much of that. Like, let alone, the school where you've got hundreds of teenagers and children transitioning between classes or going to lunch or whatever. I just, how is that going to be enforced?
Right.
I'm struggling to visualize
Yeah,
convincing teenagers to social distance.
Well, I guess you could do things like stagger your release times for certain, like this grade releases at this time, and then like different bells mean different things. I suppose you could do something like that.
Yeah.
I know that some other things were being considered at Grand Center Arts Academy in terms of like shortening class periods so that teachers can do all of the maintenance in their classroom that needs to happen to keep it safe.
Okay.
So that you have more classes per day, 8 instead of 4. You know, but yeah, I mean, these are all the questions that
It's all
the
speculation
admins
right now.
yeah, they're all
I
going to
mean,
get
one
hit
of
with.
my youngest son is 4 and he's in preschool. And I know that there's been daycares open for younger kids, and those seem to be doing pretty well. I haven't heard of many issues on that level. But that also seems like the age in which there's a lot of sharing going on because they're working on cooperative play and they're sharing toys, and toddlers, they don't regulate themselves. They have a snotty nose. They're coughing on
Right.
like I just I don't
Right.
see how that's going to work. It's just mind-boggling to me. But I mean, they're saying it's safe, and I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm
How are
completely
they?
opposed to any of it. If these are professionals and they have to adhere to guidelines that they've been working on. There's been a lot going on at the state level and things like that with the school district, of course. Yeah, but again, same thing you just said. So many questions.
Right. And I guess they'll be answered in due time. It's I'm still waiting to get information from my school specifically. I just got district information. So,
Sure.
I'll give them a chance to kind of explain it to me first, like how
Right.
it applies to our building specifically.
Yeah, it'll be
Um,
definitely interesting. So I guess for all of the viewers watching this, it'd be
mhm.
interesting to see if you would comment on what your school's doing, age of your kids, and what your thoughts are. So yeah,
Uh,
I'd love to see some comments, and it's just different times. So
right, for sure. Um, I did want to mention, I know we were talking before the break. Can I mention something here real quick about
absolutely,
something we
yeah,
were talking about? Okay.
please.
It was just in my brain, and I just wanted to make sure that I talked about it a little bit. We were talking about the virtual recital idea,
Hmm.
and putting it as like a live stream sort of situation. And you brought up the point about how this brings forth new different skills with students that they, in a classroom
Yes.
situation, they might not otherwise get. The thing that I think is that was most important, and I got this from the students too, is that how they couldn't hide behind anything in their performances. Like if they're just recording themselves
Oh,
doing these
okay.
performances,
Hmm.
they have to have that. They have to have their parts like down, like wired. They can't hide behind anybody else. They can't play this passage quieter because they don't have it quite down yet. It was a lot more of a microscope, like a
So you
recording
mean
is.
more of like in an ensemble situation?
Right, right.
No,
Or
that's an interesting point. Yeah.
even if they're playing live, if they're playing a solo, but they're playing at, we've got the Sun Theater attached to our school. If
Okay.
they're playing live in the Sun Theater, and there's an audience, there's always commotion in the audience. There's always noise. If there's a
Right.
little flub, it hardly goes noticed, right?
Hmm.
Unless it's somebody that's really, really paying attention. But that's almost
No,
nobody
that's an
there.
excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up. So you're thinking it's making the students be more mindful and hopefully rehearse their parts
Yes.
more. So it's making them into a stronger musician.
Yeah. More precise as performers. But
Because
then
I guess
also,
sorry, go on.
no, that's okay. But then also, it's enlightening to kind of like, if they haven't ever recorded a video or audio before of them performing, it's a wake up call to kind of say, oh, if I want to do this, this is how this feels, this is how this looks.
Sure.
So it's experience going into later life. If they're going to record music, that's a totally different ball of wax than playing
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
live.
I mean,
So
that
it's
also I mean, you're kind of opening up my mind here to so many different things. They're probably for the first time hearing themselves play back, which is different than just doing it from inside your body, if that makes sense. I mean, the
Yes.
perception of watching yourself and hearing yourself recorded is different than just doing it.
Right.
So
Now,
I think that
record-
provides a lot of insight too for them, which
Yeah.
again is just adding to their skill set and making them stronger, their instrument.
Right. Now, I record my groups all the time, just to kind of say, okay, here's where you are at this date. I'm going to do this again in 2 weeks.
But
so you
that's
can
as
hear.
the whole full ensemble.
That's an ensemble,
Never
yeah.
individually, right?
Right. So this is even, it's another level of self-realization that I think is, just we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, That's,
Sure. No, I like
that's
that.
that's the one of the things that they got out of that experience that they wouldn't have gotten had all of this stupid stuff not happened.
Exactly. And then maybe perhaps you're like, oh my gosh, this particular student is amazing. And maybe you had less of an idea because they just kind of, were a sheep
Blended
playing
in.
kind of. Yeah. So it's pretty cool to kind of have that different approach. I mean, not that we needed it, but here we are. And so again, we're embracing it. And
Yeah.
so, no, I love
So-
that, you're finding positives. And I think that that's going to be the most helpful to the children is seeing, because there's so many, I don't know if this is necessarily the best explanation for it, but you see so many adults and teachers that are just curmudgeons and they just are so negative and pessimistic. And that's not teaching the children anything, but them seeing how you're approaching it and being flexible and adapting, and seeing the rewards of what changes there are, that's going to really help shape these children and help build their character.
I hope so. Yeah.
It does. It will. And so they're not just learning about music, they're learning more from seeing how you're handling this. So yeah, that really speaks volumes. So I really applaud you for doing all of that. And I think,
Thanks.
that's what we need right now. That's what these children need is seeing, okay, things change and things aren't the best, but our society is supporting us in a way with technology and all of this other modernization that we can continue on.
Right. Well, if this had happened in 1983,
God.
like
Right.
we had,
I can't imagine.
There's no technological support to kind of work around things,
It would be, I'm sure there would be certain adaptations that would have taken place in a different way or,
Well, there would have had to have been, but
there were fax machines.
barely.
Be a lot of faxing going on and telephone calls.
Right.
But anyways, the technology is certainly exploded. I mean, it's been there, and it's just amazing that it's supporting everything. And you're right. I've thought about the same thing. My business and, education would be in a much different place if we couldn't still have these connections.
Right.
I mean, look at us. We're doing a podcast with video remotely. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right.
So
What a world, right?
what a world. Indeed. Yeah. Any final thoughts about education? Anything else? I'm sure you're eager to read that email.
I am for sure. And that'll be enlightening. No, I mean, final thoughts, I would just encourage everybody to try to adapt as best as they can. I have no idea how long, nobody knows how long this is going to go on.
No.
So, we just have to do the best we can with what we have.
Exactly.
And, I don't think there's any right answer. If parents are watching, listening to this, if you have the online option and you think that's going to be better for your situation, nobody's faulting anybody. If going in person is better for your situation, students learn differently. I had students that really didn't do well with the online thing.
Right.
And then I had students that flourished with it, that weren't
I guess you got to
flourishing in the
consider that
classroom.
too. Yeah.
Um, it's a tough one, and you got to
It is.
weigh all of those things on top of the pandemic and how infectious that could be as well.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
it's not a fun decision to make, but
No,
here we
it's
are.
not, and it's there's no right or wrong. It's what's best for you in the moment, and there's all the thing also to remember is you can always change your mind. And I
Right.
guess if the school's giving you an option, then as cumbersome as that is for you as an educator, I guess hopefully the parents are grateful for having that option and having the ability to make that decision that fits in best for their family.
Right. Right. But
So yeah, it's just what is.
it is the wild, wild west right now.
It is. But I'm glad that music lives on. I'm glad that you're continuing to educate and inspire kids with music. So that's really, it's so important.
Well, thanks, and I'm
So,
glad that you're doing
yeah.
these conversations, these podcasts. I took this quite literally, and I am drinking coffee during this
Oh,
conversation.
good. What's on your cup?
That is Hilton Head Island.
Ah, yes, that's one of our. I was supposed to be there last week, and we had to cancel our trip.
Oh,
That's
really?
that's where my family tends to go. Every year, every other year. But
It's a nice beach. It's a nice place.
it is. So, but yes, I love Hilton Head. So, thank you for that little
Yeah.
boost.
Sure.
And I've got some Caldi's cold brew. It's a little
Okay.
watered down now, but glad to support the local.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Well, this has been amazing.
Yeah.
Keep me informed on how everything's going. If I can support you guys in any way, let me know.
I will.
We all kind of, rally together a little bit. And and then as far as, we didn't even talk about you as a performer, but you perform too, right?
I do.
So if anyone wants to check out your work, do you have a website?
Not
Are you
any
on
longer. Not
Facebook
any
or
longer.
Instagram? Like if
Yeah,
somebody
just
wanted to find you.
Yeah. So you could just go to my personal Facebook or Instagram pages.
Okay.
I'm sort of lacking on the Instagram side. I don't know why. I don't know what mental block I have with that, but
I have trouble with it too. It's fine. Facebook's enough to keep up with lately. But
I
your
also
last
have-
name is spelled Vaccaro.
That's right. I also have a private my own lessons page on Facebook. So
Oh, awesome. Okay.
it's facebook.com/BV guitar lessons.
And
that
you've been
has
doing
performance
some
as
like
well.
Thursday night classes too, haven't you? You've been
I've been
streaming
doing,
those.
Yeah, so I've been doing private and online lessons a couple nights a week. And then, so once a month I've been doing these just topics that are very, very guitar specific and very specific to guitar playing. These online workshops, Facebook Live streaming workshops for guitar players. And I just did one on jazz chords and understanding basic jazz chords.
Yeah.
Did one on Jimi
awesome.
Hendrix style rhythm guitar. I did one
Oh,
on
cool.
understanding the modes of the major scale
Okay.
on guitar. So I pick
Love
a
it.
topic and I just do it.
And you run with it.
Yeah. And then as far as gigs are concerned, that's super weird right now.
Yeah. Weird for everyone.
Yeah. But I'm out there in normal times, 4 times a month, 3-4 times a month.
And I've seen you play at Alpha Brewing.
Yeah.
That comes to mind, right? And where else do you typically play?
Evangeline's is somewhat regular, which is in the Central West End.
Yeah, the place is awesome.
And then wherever else they'll tolerate me,
Okay.
It's
It's interesting. I've never once seen you perform. Like, I need to come out and catch a show sometime. So I'm going to make that a priority.
And I'm trying to stream as many of those as I can because I know people don't want to do that now. So
No, and that's good too. Like, so the school's been sponsoring some concerts, I guess, here in Maplewood. And I've been encouraging the musicians, like, there's not a ton of people coming out, but we're live streaming them too, so that at least they can get better reach to people and get some extra support. So I think that's a really smart idea. And I think that's one of those positives we're talking about is hopefully other musicians are picking up on that and doing that as venues allow, of course.
Right.
Because why not? Like, you're already performing, you like make the most of it. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, that's it's kind of what we're trying to do. But
yeah, no, I
it'll
love
be
it.
nice when we can just do normal things again. But that's not in our.
If there is a normal,
forecast.
we'll have a new normal.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Brian. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you again. So, keep me updated. And again, for all of you guys at home, like, be sure to comment. Like, I'm interested to know what your district's doing, what you guys are deciding to do, especially if your kids are involved in music too. Be sure to comment below and I will respond to you. All right. Thanks for being here. You've been watching Coffee Conversations. My name is Jen Lobonc Billhartz with Shock City School of Music, and our awesome guest today, Brian Vaccaro, Vaccaro, and Brian's with an I if you want to find him online. All right, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Good afternoon, Grand Center Arts Academy students and parents and families and friends. Welcome to what I think is the first ever virtual music recital the school has ever held. My name is Brian Vaccaro, and I teach the guitar classes and ensembles, both high school and middle school, the jazz band, and the music technology class at GCAA. Hopefully, a virtual recital like this is not going to become our new normal. Rather, I think it's just an adjustment to our current circumstances that we're undergoing right now. Well, with that said, I think that we have a very solid and varied program for you today. We have about 30 minutes of music, and it's from select students from the guitar ensemble, the guitar classes, the jazz band, and the music technology class. We'll begin with some guitar pieces, and then we'll move on to some music technology projects, and then we'll end with some jazz. Each piece will be preceded with a slide indicating the student's name, their grade, the title of the piece being performed, and the class or ensemble that they're representing with their piece. While you're watching and listening, I encourage everyone to write something positive to our student performers in the comments so they know you're out there supporting them. I hope all of you enjoy this virtual recital, and thank you very much for watching and listening.
Hey, my name is Paul Nataro, and I am in Mr. Vaccaro's music tech class. The song that I'm going to be playing for you today is a song that I made on GarageBand. It's called Spring Breeze, and when you listen to it, I'm going to show you the track settings so you can see how the music progresses in all the parts. I hope you enjoy it.
that concludes our virtual recital. I appreciate everybody that tuned in to watch and listen today. And congratulations to all the performers involved. I hope everybody has a great summer and that we get back to our normal lives sooner than later. And once again, thank you for watching.